Alrighty, so Chasca banner official confirmation is basically here. Interesting character 4-star lineup. Now the good thing is that we know before Auron is going to be here, and also I technically predicted Barbara has a decent chance of being here because the whole goal is also to support Auron, and she's the only Hydro character left. But yeah, we're going to leave that for the 4-star character now, but obviously I want to discuss and have a look into the 5-star on the banner before we, you guys make your decision, right? Here's the thing, right? The 5-star lineup, especially this time around, is okay, right? Most of it is going to be preference character-wise. Chasca is a character I've discussed it quite a lot. Obviously, she's going to be the DPS character for your team, right? We've looked into some of the scaling that she's got, and we kind of know that she's going to be able to do you pretty decent damage. However, the whole arsenal of what she's able to do within her gameplay is obviously going to put a lot of people off, because there's technically a little bit of the gacha mechanic and the whole jumbo mumbo of the elemental reactions that's caused whole different chaotic stuff that's going around whenever we have Chasca, right? But on the other side, if you do enjoy her as a character, you like her gameplay, I think you're probably going to be in it for a treat, right? Because obviously her gameplay is rather different from most of the characters out there that we've got in the game. She is an anemo character on paper, however, in gameplay she's not an anemo character. You can turn her into either pyro, electro, hydro, or cryo character, however you like her to be. So obviously her build is going to depend a lot on which kind of team she's built in, so that's an interesting part of Chasca that I see about her, and that's something I really like as well. So obviously I'm going to be pulling for Chasca because, well, one thing, I'm a content creator, so that I can create guide and testing for you. But on the other part, it has been quite a while since we last had an anemo DPS and a 5-star character, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last time I think that was Wanderer, right? And then on top of that too, she has the ability to fly around, which is fun, apart from Wanderer who has been able to do that. But I feel that Chasca has the ability to fly around, but she's going to be able to do that a lot longer than Wanderer. So yeah, I'm interested to actually test her out whenever she comes. But obviously, if you're still on the fence of whether or not you should be pulling for her, do consider hard. And these two specific video of mine, I have already had a pre-release information video on Chasca, so if you are interested more about that, check out the video out as I go very in-depth into Chasca. But overall right now, it's just going to be sharing my thoughts on what I think about Chasca here. Now, as for Lyney, it's been over a year since it's been out, so I'm pretty sure if you've already liked Lyney and you decide to pull him, you should already have him on your account. If not, you're probably not interested in him. However, there's some facts that I would love to point out, and I've already talked about this before, is that Lyney is actually not that bad of a character. I mean, while at C0, he is a little bit hard to play. However, his front load nuking power is still technically there. If you do invest into Lyney, if you pulled for his weapon, invest a little bit into his constellation, you only need his C1. His nuking ability just shoot up the roof. Very tough character for your enemies to deal with, especially single boss enemy where he doesn't really have to deal too much of an AoE situation, because he nukes single target bosses so damn fast whenever you invest into him that there's so many showcases on YouTube who actually do that. So it's something that you want to keep in mind about Lyney. But overall, it's obviously going to be pretty much a preference character. Now, Lyney is a pyro character. Chasca, even though she is an anemo element, but she can also become a pyro character depending on what team you build. So, well, if you're feeling that you're lacking in pyro character, and technically Chasca can fill in that role for you. But overall, whenever I'm looking into this 5-star lineup, it's obviously going to be pretty much a safe for most of us, because of future characters that is going to be coming. However, if you do decide to look into the banner, then the 4-star lineup, like seriously speaking guys, is not that bad. While we technically already know Auron has potential. Obviously, he has the best potential whenever he is in Electro Charge team. But as a 4-star character, and you have the ability to potentially max his constellation out, he has the potential to be a pretty nice off-field sub-DPS Electro character for your team, right? His C6 has the ability to, increase draw attacking power for your team, which is really nice. And that's one thing. And I was kind of surprised that Sucrose is here. I was technically thinking Holyverse may save her for either upcoming banner or the banner afterward for patch 5.3. But yes, she being here also makes sense because while she can technically be on Chasca banner, not the best of her ability, but if she do have a C6 Sucrose, that EM increase on top of the elemental damage buff that Sucrose has access to is pretty nice. So overall, Sucrose still one of the better 4-star characters that you have in the game, especially when, you know, Auron love to be in Electroshard team. Sucrose can technically be there, and not to mention there's Barbara as well. Right now, I don't know how good of a team Auron, Sucrose and Barbara is going to work because I actually haven't played Electrocharge team for a very long time. I would love to test it out again, especially when patch 5.2 is going to be giving us decently Electrocharge damage increase. But the 4-star character lineup here technically makes sense, and overall it's not that bad. Obviously Barbara is not good, right? I just have to say it. But if you're missing out on either 4-star or Hydro character, you know, if you have Barbara on the field driving your team, applying Hydro for you, she still do the work, right? You just have to invest into her artifacts, you know, and other weapon building a little bit. But overall, the 4-star lineup, as I've mentioned, is decent, especially when you're trying to grab Sucrose and Auron constellations. And of course, Sucrose is a character that haven't been back for quite some time. It makes sense for them to be here right now. So yeah, if you're pulling on the banner, I think it's not that bad. Now, for the weapon banners, overall, I would say it's decent as well. It's not really on that bad side. But first off, let's have a look into the specific banner themselves. So for Chasca's signature weapon, right, we already know it's technically made for her. The whole point is that whether or not it's that much of it worth it for either for you to go for it, and how much usability it's got for your other character on your account if you don't decide to put it on Chasca, right? So first off, it has crit damage, which is nice, right? You get 24% attack increase after triggering sword reaction, and then when 1, 2 or more party members is of the different type of the character, you get your charge attack increase by 20 or 48%, and a 10% to a 24% elemental burst damage increase. Overall, this is a decently nice weapon. However, for you to actually use it on other character of your account, most of the time you do actually require to have an Anemo character on your team, which is while overall more versatility for this bow, right? Because you only need to trigger the sword reactions, and obviously team building depending on how many different elemental type character that you've got compared to the character that you're using. So depending on your team build, you can make use of this weapon. Overall, I do like this weapon. It's okay, obviously very good on Chasca, but if you do happen to get it, I'm not recommending you to actually just pull for this weapon for your other character. But if you do have this weapon, I think this overall is a nice weapon. However, running on alongside with it is actually the first grade magic, which overall makes this weapon banner a little bit more worthwhile if you're focusing on getting weapons for your bow character, right? So it's a very good thing if you're investing into either Chasca or Lyney, because either way, if you do lose to either of these weapons, they can technically use any of the bow. Now, the first grade magic can also be used on Chasca. It has very good crit damage, similar to that of her signature. Basically, it's going to be the opposite of the plumage, right? Where you need to have elemental type of the same as the Wardo for you to get the stack, whereas the plumage, you requires to have a different elemental type to get the bonus. So overall, the 5-star are decently nice. Now, looking into the 4-star, this 4-star bow, I say is pretty decent, especially when you're trying to use it on Chasca. You can make use of this weapon really well. Obviously, the only thing you have to be mindful about is this bow really favors you the more you charge your attack. If you really want to get the maximum of it, you do need to time your charge attack a little bit more. However, overall for a 4-star bow, if you do have it on your pools, it's not really that bad. You can use it on most of your bow DPS character, obviously apart from the one that uses normal attack, because this bow focuses a lot on your charge attack. Now the catalyst is kind of nice too. It does give you a good energy recharge amount. If I remember correctly, this is one of the highest energy recharge numbers that we have on a weapon, especially for a 4-star. It's been a while. Well, obviously this catalyst is more focuses on you running in a Hydro team. Now you can think this giving this to Novelet, but overall I don't think that it's going to be that good because the energy recharge is just too unnecessary for him. It's going to be decently good for either character that scales with energy recharge, but I don't think we have too many at this point. And of course it has to be a Hydro character that scales with HP as well. So slightly harder for you to fit in, but if you do have this weapon, it's not that bad either. And for the remaining, the sad part on this weapon only is that you can potentially get the belt, which is still pretty much the worst weapon in the game. You can still find some use to it, but it's actually decently hard. So you have to be mindful about that. But other than that, the sword and the Favonius poem, you can make use of them regardless. So overall, the weapon banner, it's not that bad. If you're looking for good weapon for your bow character, I think this is some of the only few chances for you to get the most out of a weapon banner, especially for a DPS bow character, right? I have no idea why the whole universe decided. So yeah, I really wish you good luck if you do decide to pull on the weapon banner. However, the most important thing always for us is to discuss on the future banner discussion part. Now, interestingly, I usually purposely wait until 5 p.m. my time, which is usually when whole universe actually drip market the next new character lineup of the next patch. However, it is nowhere to be seen today. As you can see, I've been reloading the page. It's nowhere to be seen. So I honestly have no idea what whole universe is planning here. Either it's late, which I don't think that's going to be the case, or there's something that they are planning and they obviously will drop in the later date. However, it's almost a confirmation that Mavuika is going to be in 5.3. It's already a little bit too late for a new Archon to haven't actually appeared as a playable character this late into the patches of a region, which is obviously a huge consideration for most of us. Yes, she is the Archon. She is also the Pyro Archon. As we know, Pyro is also one of the better elements out there. Not to say that we already have Xiangling or anything, so most of us may potentially save, but I do feel that whole universe will not mess up our lovely Mavuika because many of us actually love her. I do love her myself, going through all these story quests and that, but we already know that Xiangling as a Pyro character is absolutely godsend. Ever since she was released, she's a 4-star character. So if Mavuika as a 5-star character and also the Pyro Archon actually loses to Xiangling in the future, well, I don't think Pyro element can save face at that point. So we can almost guarantee that Mavuika can and would be at least a good Pyro character for you to use, which makes it something that I feel many of us are going to be saving for. But if you do decide to pull on Chasca banner, be sure to make your pulls wisely, and obviously not to mention the second patch of patch 5.2, we have Zhongli and Neuvillette. Now Zhongli we can disregard most of the time because I still feel that at this point in time he's pretty much a preference character unless you're really sucks at the game and you need a shield. Other than that, you can just pull for really good DPS character and delete your enemies before you even need a shield to prevent you from getting killed, right? So Neuvillette is right next to that, and obviously Neuvillette is going to be a much more valuable character, which is why the character lineup right now is very good for many of you who hasn't got this specific character on your account, but it's also very hard for you to decide as well. So once again, I do have a very in-depth video going through the list of character that's going to be appearing on patch 5.2, so be sure to check it out after this, as I'm sure it's going to be very helpful to you. But obviously my advice for you would always be to remember that there always going to be a rerun. Now the more character comes, the longer time the rerun is going to be, but nevertheless you're still always going to get the rerun of the character if you do miss them on their debut, which also applies to Mavuika, right? Archons generally have more and earlier reruns, so if you're feeling fear that you won't be able to pull for Mavuika because she's basically the next patch and you have to skip out either Chasca, Lyney, or the reruns of Neuvillette and Zhongli, then always keep that in mind. And also, I really do wish you good luck whenever you are pulling. So guys, that's all I have to say regarding the banners right now. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comment sections, as I know some lovely other Genshin player will get to you there. I really appreciate you guys staying with me till this part of the video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss out on my future Genshin videos. With that, I wish you a super day and I'll catch you on my next video.